What's up, YouTube? We're back with another one, and today we are going over the nine most important things that you should know when you are tending to a cannabis plant. And we're gonna get right into it. Number one, watering. Believe it or not, it's very easy to overwater. Now, a lot of people think because they have fabric pots, oh, I can't overwater, bro. You know, the water comes out of it. How can I overwater if the water isn't getting pulled at the bottom? Think about it. If you're feeding your plants nutrients, and if you're giving your plants food, you don't want to have the food just run out of the pot, bro. So what you want to do is you want to give your plants small sips of water, and you should let your plants tell you when they're thirsty. Other than that, it is very easy to overwater. When you're watering your plant, your goal is to have about 10 to 20% runoff water. So you want to give your plants sips more than just dousing them in water. You get what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong. I know it's very easy to overthink it because you like, look, I want this to be the best possible. I love this plant so much. This is my baby, and I just want to keep drinking it so we can grow faster. But it doesn't work like that, bro. Plants need rest time. And it's like, think about you. You're not just going to stuff your face all day. You're going to have to give your body time to digest, and you need to let your plants dry out a little bit before you feed them. When you give your plants sips instead of dousing them in water, it's actually beneficial to your plants because you have all the nutrients and beneficial microorganisms that are inside of your plant, and you don't want to be flushing your plants way too early. So think about the nutrients and minerals that are already existing within your plant and within your soil, and if you're already feeding and giving nutrients to your plants, you want to keep those in there, and you just want to give, you know, little sips so they can continue to grow and those roots can continue to come out. Number two, this has got to be one of the most important. This should have been number one, honestly, but pay attention to your plant. You really have to be a plant parent. You have to be on top of deficiencies. You have to be on top of your watering. You have to be on top of when they're thirsty. You have to know if it's too dry. You have to know if it's too hot. You got to know if, you get what I'm saying? Pay attention to your babies. Number three, lighting. Now this is very important. When you're growing inside, we have to remember that we are trying to mimic the sun. So what we want to do is give our plants ample light without the risk of burning the plants or giving them way too much light. We have to make sure we don't give the plants light burn or stress them the hell out completely, because that'll stunt growth and we don't want that. A good range to keep your lights from your seedlings and an early veg is about 20 to 24 inches away. That's enough room to make sure that your plants will get ample lighting and the photosynthesis period is working correctly. A lot of you are new to growing, and I want to be the first to tell you, do not go cheap on Amazon. Do not go cheap on Amazon. You want to spend at least $60 to $100 on your first light. Like if this is your first light, you're gonna want to spend at least $100, and I would just say at least $100. 60, 70 bucks, maybe you can get away with a decent light depending on how many plants you have and what your environment is like. When you're setting up your LED light for your grow, you want to make sure that you have appropriate light to plant ratio. Meaning, if you have a 100 to 250 or 300 watt light, you should want to have the appropriate amount of plants for that light. You don't want to have 30 plants over 100 watt light and expect them to get anything. So lighting is extremely important. Make sure you have an appropriate space from your light. Make sure that you are having a great plant to light ratio, and make sure that you're spending a decent amount of money on your first light when you're first setting up, because your harvest and your yield is going to be worth it in the end. Number four, temperature and relative humidity. Now this is so super important, because your plants will not grow if they do not like the environment that they are in. When you are starting out in seedling baby stage, you really want to keep your relative humidity high, because all of your roots are absorbing water through the air. You also want to keep your temperature around 70 to 78 degrees, because it's going to like a warmer environment. Now, going into early vegetative stage, you're going to keep around the same temperature, but you're going to crank your relative humidity down from the 40 to 50 range. Now, number five, genetics. While bag seeds are not a terrible option, if that's what you have, by all means, use it. But the more that you know about what you're growing, the better you'll be acclimated to growing it, right? Putting time and effort and research into what you're growing will help you in the long run, because you will know how to grow it, the best way to grow it, and then you can get tips from people who have grown similar strains in the past. That's pretty easy and straightforward. Number six, feeding and overfeeding. This goes back to number two. Paying attention to your plants. You need to know when you are feeding way too much or feeding way too little. So you need to pay attention to your leaves. If they start to brown, if they start to yellow, if they start to get a bit dry, then you need to know that you are having feeding problems and there are some deficiencies that you need to take care of. The sooner you get on top of these deficiencies, the smoother your grow will go. Think about it. Any problems that you have with your plant will potentially affect your harvest. As a new grower, it's super easy to overfeed, especially when all the nutrient companies have these recommended milliliters per gallon and they completely screw you. They don't care about your plants, they care about money. Anytime I see any of those nutrients and they have a recommended dosage, I always go like a third of what that says. You should go lighter. You should always go lighter with your feedings rather than heavier. You can always put more in, but you can't take any out. Number 7, your plants need room to grow. Believe it or not, it has been known that plants will do better if they are in a bigger environment, if they have more room to spread for themselves. For example, if you have 2 plants in one tent, one plant could get much bigger if it was in the tent by itself, rather than the 2 being in there stuffed together. You get what I'm saying? Also, you cannot forget air circulation. Your plants need to breathe just like you do. Nobody wants to sit around breathing stale air all day. You need to make sure that there is some good circulation in and out of the room. It's important to remember that we are trying to mimic nature, so we want to get a fan going. Our plants love wind, and that helps them build nice, tough, strong stalks and stems. Also, air circulation, especially when your cannabis starts to get very dense and your buds start to produce and flower, you're going to want to have air circulation because you can risk bud rot, and nobody wants that. Again, that can ruin your harvest. Air circulation should really just be something that you don't even think about and should really just be on autopilot. There should always be a fan in whatever space that you're growing in because your plants need to breathe, and that also ensures that they will be growing and have strong stems and stalks, like I said before. Number 8, you want to do some type of topping or low stress training for your plant. This will help you maximize your yield and your harvest in the end. If you don't know what topping is, it is basically taking one internode off of your plant and it will grow into 2. And then from those 2, you can do more, and then you can have 4. And then from that, and then on and on. And then instead of having your plant grow up like a Christmas tree, it'll grow up and have all these branches from the one stalk down at the bottom, so you can increase your yield. And instead of having one main cola, you can have a bunch of main colas, and you can have more bud and flowers to share with all of your friends and family and grandmothers and grandfathers. LST, low stress training, that is pretty much tying down your plants so they can get more light coverage on the inside. When they start to grow up like this, you want to pull them down so they can bend up, and then more can grow up and the sun can get in on the place it wasn't getting before, and then that's how new shoots start. And yes, absolutely. High stress training is something that I have not done myself, but they have something that is called super cropping and lollipopping. Those are techniques where people bend their stalks in order to make them grow. And a lollipop, it's really crazy. You've got to look it up. It's really crazy. But yes, number 8, you definitely want to maximize your yield. Look into possibly getting a trellis for your tent or your grow area so it can hold your branches down and they can get more light. Number 9, show your plants love, because they will show you love back. Spend time with your plants, talk to your plants, get to understand them more. Do your research, because these are living things. You see, they grow just like you do. You know, your parents see you when you were a baby. They like, oh my God, I can't believe you got this big. That's the same way we look at our plants. So give your plants love and they will give you love back. My name is 4 from 444 Farms. Please feel free to leave a comment, like, subscribe, share this video with your friends. If you have any questions, please feel free. Shoot me a message, drop a comment. If there are any topics that you want me to do a video on, drop a suggestion. Thanks for watching the video, guys, and I was Cannabis' 9 most important things to remember.